my name is Michelle, and welcome back to our third episode, which is also called The Inner Pod. And today we will be talking about romantic relationships. So, before we start the episode, I would always like to say it is not suitable for professional therapy and medical advice, and it's also just for educational purposes only. Okay? So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Okay, so my name is Gia. I'm the founder of the Innerling Therapy and Wellness Center, and I'm also a licensed and registered counselor and a HRDF trainer.
Oh, interesting. So how long have you been in this, I would say industry? So how long are you in this industry for?
Okay, I've been in this industry for 6 years.
What are attachment styles?
Okay, is it really attachment style? I mean, professionally, this is what I think what attachment style is, because I do have my own personal thought process when it comes to attachment style, right? And I think you've heard this before. Attachment style is basically like trauma responses from childhood.
Yeah.
So it's basically how your parents parent you and how you react towards their parenting style. So like today, as an adult, you tend to have like different, I would say like dynamics in a relationship, and sometimes these dynamics can be, let's say for example, one person can be more of like anxious and the other person can be more of like avoidance. So like if they don't know their own attachment style, they may have like conflict in the relationship. Yeah. So sometimes like in a relationship, from the trauma responses that you have had in the past, from the parenting styles, like it can actually showcase in a relationship.
Okay. Yeah. So when we talk about anxious and avoidant, right? Do you think, in your opinion, it really does affect a relationship between both partners?
Okay, I would say yes. Yes, because like in a relationship, there's so much components, right? It's not just about the attachment style, right? We're talking about like attraction, right? We're talking about like similarities and opposite attracts. We're also talking about like dynamics, right? We're also talking about personality and characteristics, right? Attachment style is one way of a person responding to a situation. Yeah.
Okay. So
I hope that makes sense.
yeah, it does. No worries. But well, other than attachment styles, right? You mentioned also personality. So why is it that when it comes to personalities, right? What is it in your experience that you've seen like two personalities really like clashing? Is it one that's like really outspoken and then the one is like soft spoken, or like what is it that's like very toxic in personalities?
In personalities.
Yeah.
I mean like, okay, let's say for example, if someone is, let's say we talk about MBTI, right?
Yeah.
So if you have similar MBTIs, maybe you find similar interests together, right? You have more topics to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say your MBTI is opposite. So they'll be like, oh, how come the other person is more of like a planner and the other person is more of like, more flexible, they're not so much of a planner. Right? So the person whom is more of a planner, they will find it a bit more annoying, right? Like every single thing I have to be the one that's like, planning it.
Yeah.
And the other person is like, can't you just go with the flow? Can't we just take one day at a time?
Yeah.
Like, why do we always have to plan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you see that the conflict can happen, right?
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh, you don't understand how I'm feeling, you don't understand what I'm thinking. Like, why do you always have to go with your way? Because like you plan it, you want it. So it becomes So if you can understand that, like, okay, if you're more of a planner in terms of an MBTI, right? Like if you're more J, then okay, right? So you plan because like you are trying to avoid anxiety, let's say for example, right? So someone that is tend to have higher anxiety, they tend to be of a plan, so that they can make sure that there is certainty ahead of them. Yeah. So I'm not saying that the one that's not so much of a planner is less anxious. I'm just saying like they can take it as it goes. They're more chill, they're more lax. Maybe these days this is what you call it, right?
Yeah.
They're more like, like whatever the situation is, we can just like go through it with it like one thing at a time.
I see. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So other than MBTIs, I want to focus on attachment styles, right? As we mentioned before, but like they always say, it's not just attachment styles. That could be a multitude of things in the relationship as well.
Yes.
So, but what is it like in your experience, right? For people who have anxious attachment style and avoidant attachment styles, like what are like the similarities that you've seen throughout your experiences working with couples in your years of therapy?
So someone that is more anxious, they want to have like safety and security, right? Someone that is more withdrawal, what they needed more is, I want to say acceptance. Yeah. So if a person that wants more safety and security, they will seek for that, because it's like knowing that like your partner replied to you on time. It's like it's helping them to feel less anxious. It gives them that sense of security.
Yeah.
Right? So like if the other partner is more of like a withdrawal, more of like avoidance, they just want to be accepted. They will get back to you, but sometimes if you don't give them enough time to get back to you, they will continue to withdraw.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it's like you probably have assumptions already about me, you know, so I might as well just give it to you. Yeah. So that's why it's very important to give avoidance or withdrawal a bit of space to actually like, maybe they need some time to process their thought processes, you
Yeah.
know, before they get back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they may seem like they're withdrawing, they may seem like they're avoiding, but they're not. Yeah. If it's already their tendency to withdraw, then they will keep on withdrawing. So like the more you push, the more they're going to withdraw.
Yeah.
So why continue to push, right? But for the withdrawal, they will have to understand that like, okay, my partner is highly anxious. My partner wants safety and security. So let me give my partner the safety and security. So example, I will get back to you in the next 1 hour. I might not have a full thought processes yet. I might not have a full sentences yet, but I'll get back to you within 1 hour. So the anxious partner is like, okay, I have 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Rest assured that my partner will get back to me within 60 minutes. So I'm just gonna go about and do my own thing. So the anxious partner will feel safe and secure. That you will be texting me within 60 minutes.
See,
Does
that's
that
quite
make sense?
interesting. Yeah, of course. It's quite interesting because I think it will be less overwhelming, and it shows like how really communication is important for both of them. And in your experience, right, is there a vast difference, like a very big difference when it came to communication styles between anxious and avoidance in relationships?
Yeah, I mean communication wise is like, of course, withdrawal would say a few words. Anxious would have like a lot more words.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, or maybe someone with anxiety, they like to justify a lot, like, okay, the reason why I'm feeling this way, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And avoidance is more of like, oh, okay. and then you go, what do you mean? Oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, give me more. You know, anxious people will be like, give me more than just, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And I think like we have to learn how to respect each other in terms of like our communication style. And I'm sure someone of the avoidance or of the withdrawal, they would like to say their peace of mind too, right? So it's like, how can we create that space for them to share, right? To express themselves.
Yeah.
So just because they are more of a withdrawal, they are more of like avoidance, like trust that they will come back with like thought processes. Yeah. So some people will ask me like, what do you mean by trust them that they will come back with their thought processes? Like if you give them enough space and enough time to process, right? Let them know that I hope to hear something from you.
And do you think that there is a link between attachment and communication, or is it more towards like personality wise when it comes to communication, or is it a mix of both?
Yeah, it's a mixture of both. It's like a learned behavior, right? Like it's not just about like learned behavior from childhood, also learned behavior from like environmental, from people, from your external influence. Let's say for example like your friends, or like your relatives, you know. Yeah. So like in school, let's say from like primary school, or like all the way to like high school to like university. So like you get to experience a different communication style, right? the more conflict you have with friendships or with other people, the more you understand your own communication style. You know that other people will have different way of interpreting things and to receive things and receive information. Let's say for example. Yeah. So I would say like both. It's a mixture of both.
I see. Okay. Since we got that out of the way, this podcast isn't just for attachment styles only.
Yep.
Since we're talking about romantic relationships, right? I think the number one question or like the most like thing that is quite uncertain is that when we go out dating, how do we know if that person is a right fit for us? Like how do we trust our body enough to know that maybe this person isn't the right one for me?
I'm gonna, because you asked me a question and I'm gonna answer you with a question. Why are we always looking for the right one? Help me understand this thought process.
I think because I think we've always been hearing like if it doesn't work out, it's like, oh, they're just not the right one for you, right? So isn't romantic relationship about finding the right one and staying with that right one, or is it just a common misconception in society right now?
Yeah, right. So I mean, like, to me, it's a very black and white thinking. It's either correct or wrong. It's either right or wrong person.
Yeah.
Right. And we didn't get to see a relationship in a different perspectives or in different angle. Right. There is no right or wrong when it comes to relationship. The right or wrong happens when we keep receipts of faults of like we see that person is not good enough for you. Right. What happens if that person's good enough is already their best, or they're not good enough is already their best. So like, who are we to judge that? Like, oh, that's not the right person for you. That's a wrong person for you, right?
Yeah.
So if we get into a relationship, it is more of like experiencing each other's like life, experiencing each other's like dynamics, systems, right? Like live experiences with each other, right? So know that the person that you are seeing or the person that you want to see, they already have their set of system, their family dynamics, their friends dynamics, who they are as people, right? So there's nothing wrong or right about that, right? Because if we are focusing on just looking for the right person, then we are already zooming in like all the good traits, all the good characteristics. And why do we say I accept you for who you are? Because it sounds to me like you don't accept the person for who they are.
So what you're saying is that when we tell people like, oh, maybe it's just not the right one, we're actually not seeing them for who they are. We're just seeing them for how we see them instead of like looking at the whole picture. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. It's like perception versus perspectives. How you perceive. They display to you and showcase to you what they want you to see. But when you get to know them wholeheartedly, there's so much to a person. Right? So if a relationship doesn't work, it doesn't work because at this point we just want different things, right? Like we just have different aspiration, different value system, or different goals, or different things that we want to achieve in life, or just different life trajectory altogether. And sometimes we just meet people along the way in a process of life, in the journey of life, and we learn something or two with from the other person, and they learn something or two from us, and we thank them for this good experience. It doesn't have to be a bad experience altogether. Yeah. Not that I never go through bad experiences. I obviously did, right?
Yeah.
But just because, like you said, Michelle, earlier on, you were talking about like societal norms, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps since young, it's already embedded in us to find the right one, the correct one.
Yeah.
Because like we all have our flaws.
Yeah.
So how do we segment these flaws into the relationship?
I think you're right. I think it gives a different perspective and a very fresh perspective on how we should look at dating, right? Okay, so okay, one of the example of my next question is, right, what are the biggest misconceptions about love and relationships? So we talked about like the right one, how it's a very big misconception because of societal norms, right?
Yeah.
Can you think of any other misconceptions that you think that harm society?
I think that lack of empathy in a relationship, right? Getting to know a person,
Yeah.
right? Lack of empathy. It's a lot of like judgment, you know, like a lot of like attachment style, or a lot of like trauma responses to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, so let's say for example, if a person never had like a relationship experience before in the past,
Yeah.
right? So it's like a fresh from the oven, you know, out from the oven,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like you just never like know what love is all about, right? And you just happen to be in your teens, let's say for example. Of course you will need to get to know yourself in the process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like in the process, as in like, oh, is this what love feels like? Oh no, you're too young to understand what love is. You know.
Yeah.
So in the end of the day, it's still a reflection of a journey. You know, a person's individual journey.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say if you've had multiple relationships in the past, and you don't believe in love anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and for some reason like you fell in love with someone, right? And you told yourself that, okay, you know, love doesn't exist. What is important right now is, do you have enough money to support me?
Wow.
Let's say because financial standings are important, right? As
Yeah.
a adult, it's like, can we build a life together? Can we have a home together? Some people have their own requirement and conditions.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, like I wanna have like a rich husband that have an XXX amount in the bank account,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Because I'm an alpha woman, you know, because I'm not gonna accept you if, you know, you don't have this XX amount,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So different people have different values and also like what they want in their lives, you know, and they just then, you know, some people just happen to meet people that they want to be in a relationship with, and some people just have a bit of like misleading in terms of like what they want truly
Yeah.
for themselves. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Thank you so much. My next question is that, right, how important is physical attraction? Do you think it's important in a long-term relationship or?
Okay. I'm gonna say, I mean, it's gonna sound really funny.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, physical attraction is always like it's visual,
Yeah.
right? So, of course, as you grow older together, you know, things will change.
Yeah.
You know, you grow sideways, say for example, right?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say like the real, true meaning about physical attraction is actually emotional attraction, right? Because like you can also visualize the person in a different way emotionally.
Yeah.
You know, the connection could be different. You know, I'm talking about like chemistry, let's say for example. Yeah. But if you ask me to just like, you know, answer this a yes or no, is physical attraction important?
Yeah.
I think it depends on individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people like, nah, doesn't matter. as long as you are happy, you are responsible, you know, you have good values, okay already. So it really depends on the person.
Thank you for that.
Is it important to you?
Is it important to me? I think for me to some extent, yes.
Okay. Because
Because I think for me, I have a type, and
we all have a
yeah,
type.
we do have. I have a type, and unfortunately, I can't bring myself out to see different people, I guess. But I think for me, physical attraction, like if you put it in a percentage, I think it will be like 30%, 70% is like what emotional. Like what you said, like I think what attracts me the most is like emotional attraction, because I think that's far more important than physical attraction. Because like you said, like, people can like grow and people can look differently as they grow older.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course.
So I think for me, emotional attraction is the best way to know someone. It's like how you're gonna. It's like, am I able to vibe with you for a very long time or not? Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the personality, the characteristic, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Mm.
So when we talk about romantic relationships, especially during the dating and early stages, right? In your opinion, in your maybe in your professional opinion or even your own opinion as a person, what is the best way to approach someone you're interested in without being awkward?
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna say this, right? Again, there is no right or wrong.
There is no right or wrong.
There's
This is
no-
just opinions, guys.
Opinions, right?
Yeah.
But also, there's no right or wrong getting to know someone,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that like some people, like I said, some people actually have their booklet ready with them.
Mm.
You know what they're looking for: physical attraction, emotional attraction, mental attraction.
Yeah.
You know, all of this important attraction, right?
Mm.
There is no right or wrong. I'm just saying that, right? So like go in with an open mind and open heart. Get to know the person as a person.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
ask them all these important questions are important to you, and ask them questions that ask them like, do you have any questions that you want? Do you have anything that you want to share with me about yourself?
Mm.
And I think with all of this like interaction and engagement and understanding, you would know if this person is like someone that you want to continue to have conversation with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
actually quite
So
interesting.
like when you say awkward, then like how do you not feel awkward? Because your focus is not about your conversation with the other person. Your
Yeah.
focus is like you being awkward,
Mm.
right? So like when you know, if you go out on your first date, I'm gonna say open mind, open heart. Of course, you'll feel all these anxieties, right?
Yeah.
If you're not anxious, means you know
Yeah.
maybe you're not really looking forward to the meetup, say for example, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you go into the meetup,
Mm.
you're not focusing on yourself. You're focusing on a potential relationship,
Mm.
a potential friendship,
Yeah.
right? You're focusing on the conversation that you can have with the person.
Mm.
So if you feel awkward, you would need to settle your awkwardness first before you go and meet the person.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the person because the person don't even know that you feel awkward to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's actually a great advice. I'm gonna take that in for my next if I want to find someone.
Okay. Take note.
Yeah, I'll take note. But when it comes to being in a couple, right? Being in a relationship,
Yeah.
some part of your life is going to intersect with the other person.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we make sure that we don't become codependent on one another? Like, I understand that maybe in a relationship there has to be some form of codependency.
Yes.
But how do we find that balance to maintain our individuality as our own person?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is very like it's a slippery slope to get to because you're talking about balancing act in a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. And we already know that but balancing act is not easy to achieve. And or do we even or is there even such thing as balancing situation? You know, because it's either or. You know, it's either good or bad, right or wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it goes back to that black and white thinking again. Right. So like I said, Michelle, like in every relationship there is some form of codependency.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, as you grow older together, you are in a relationship for like many years, like 20, 30, for like parents, like our parents, let's say for example, right? You do see that form of codependency,
Yeah.
right? Like let's say for example, like are you going to do the cooking? Are you going to do the laundry? Or I'm going to bring the money in. You do see like are you going to take care of the kids? Let's say for example, or let's say like people in our generation, like okay, I wanna be my own person. You know, I don't want. You know, I don't want us to be intertwined. You know, I wanna, I wanna have my own career. I wanna do my own thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but then when we go home, when you go home to your partner, or you know, or you just going home to your partner, you have some form of codependency because you're sharing space together,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So again, it goes back to that black and white thinking. You know, it's either or. So whether or not you will know it's gonna be toxic or unhealthy,
Yeah.
trust you will know. Because it's gonna outweigh more than the other. You will find imbalance altogether. You will know when it's imbalance. So some people will be like, oh my god, Jia, this is so vague. When you tell us that you will know, because like we all have our own different meters, right? My meters and your meters may not be the same. If I'm gonna give you a template and say like, Michelle, if it goes more than 50%, right, means imbalance already.
Yeah.
Right? But that is my 50%. Maybe that's only your 30%.
So what you're saying is everyone has a different capacity towards how they want to balance that individuality. Correct. I see.
You will feel like when you have your individuality, you feel like you're thriving, right? You feel like you feel comfortable with yourself. You feel very proud of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you tell your partner like, hey, I did this today. Like, oh, and then your partner say like, oh, I'm very proud of you. Yeah, I know, I'm proud of myself too, right?
Yeah,
and it goes back and forth like that. So you can see that it's like healthy conversation, healthy affirmation. You know, like you lift your partner up, your partner lift you up.
Yeah.
So you will see if your partner is uncomfortable with your success, right? Let's say for example, like if you say like, oh honey, I just got like a promotion.
Yeah.
Then your partner say, oh maybe I should get promotion too.
Oh, I see.
Is that balance?
To me, no. Because you're not proud of your partner for their achievement. But it makes you feel like, to me, it sounds like, oh, she's doing more, then how come I cannot do more?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Then it goes back to you.
Yeah.
It goes back to you. So if you want to go back to balance, maybe there is no balance here, right? So what if the other partner be like, oh no honey, you too can get a promotion, we both can get a promotion. So you can see the other person is carrying more of that
Yeah.
emotional stability in the relationship, and the other person is more of like, yeah we can, but actually internally they're like, internalize all this like negativity within themselves, and sometimes they will make it about the relationship when it's about themselves.
I see.
You will know. This is what I meant by you will know.
Yeah. So we really have to trust our gut, our instincts when it comes to these type of things.
Correct.
Unfortunately, there is no template answers. Right?
There is no template answer, and I think Michelle hit a jackpot when you say trust. Because if you don't trust yourself, there's a lot of things cannot work.
Yeah. I think that's quite important to anyone who's wanting to be in a relationship. Please always do trust yourself, and whatever decisions that you're making, it's the right one, right? Yeah. Do you believe that there's always going to be a phase, right, for couples, and then once the honeymoon phase, this is what everybody sees, I don't know if it's true or not, right, but once the honeymoon phase fades away, that's when all the how do I say it, we take off that rose tinted glass, right, how we see that person, and then we start seeing all the small little things that we don't like about that person, right? Is that normal? And if it is, how do we try to maintain that love,
Yeah.
if that makes sense?
Okay. So again, when we talk about honeymoon phase, that's the infatuation, the infatuation that you're talking about, the beginning phase of a relationship.
Yeah.
Actually, getting to know a person is also part of infatuation, right?
Oh, okay.
Because there's just so much like wanting to get to know the person.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
So we're talking about the excitement of getting to know the person. And when you enter a relationship, sometimes we enter a relationship very fast, too quick, too soon, right? We didn't give us, ourselves a chance to really get to know this person inside out,
Yeah.
right? We are rushing into something, right? And a lot of the time people experience that honeymoon phase, the infatuation. To be honest, it will never die out.
You'll never die out.
It will never die out.
Oh.
Reason I'm saying that it never dies out because they are who they are. You
Yeah.
know, you will always love this person for who they are. So if you are still at that honeymoon phase, means you're still getting to know the person. You're not really fully 100% like accepting them for who they are, because there'll be good things and they're, you know,
Their flaws.
their flaws basically. Yeah.
I see.
So then we get into this like stability, this level of comfort with the person, and so you thought that like, oh, okay, no more honeymoon phase, and so like, oh, I'm no longer excited to see my partner. I no longer want to get to know your partner. Trust me, there's so many. You will never stop getting to know your partner, even after many years together. It's like, oh, honey, I got something to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go out on a date. Right?
Yeah.
The only thing that happen a lot of the time in a relationship is that when we get lazy, we get lazy in a relationship after like many years together. It's like, oh, last time you used to bring me out on a date, now you don't bring me out anymore. You don't love me anymore. You know? And then the other person will be like, no lah, I love you. Doesn't mean we don't go on a date. Means I love you less, right? But we used to do that before. So that is the honeymoon phase, right? We used to do that before. So we should, I'm going to use the word should, we should never stop going out on dates, right? Make the date night like a must thing to do in a relationship, right? Like every month, make time for it. It doesn't matter. And I think that, people in a relationship, like the elderly, let's say for example, success, beautiful love story that you've had, right? They will tell you that like, I never stop getting to know my partner. There's always something new to get to know about them.
So not the trick, but I think the biggest tip that I got from it is that there's always something to find about that person, right? And that's always going to be the honeymoon phase, because it's always exciting to find something new about that person. I think that's a very fresh perspective as well, because a lot of people think that once the honeymoon phase dies down, then like the relationship will become stale. But from what I'm hearing is that it won't ever go stale if you just make the effort to like think about the partner and to know more about the partner. Right? You don't get into a relationship to get to a ending. You know what I mean? There is no the final destination. Some people will be like, oh, I want to get married. That's it. So what happens after you get married? There's so many things to do, after getting married, right? Are we getting into a house? Are we gonna have kids? Like, what are we gonna do? What do you want to do for your career? There's so many things to look forward to. So I think there is always this destination that we want to get to. But the actual truth is that there's more to just the destination. It's actually the entire journey of being together. Thank you so much. I feel more reassured in my dating life, that's for sure. Okay, we talk about all these like the misconceptions, attachment styles, but and we also talk about the people that we there's always going to be more about finding more about the person, because honestly, if you're like 2 years into the relationship and that person is like maybe 30, 25 years old, you still have a lot more to know the person, right? 100%. But we talk about the highs, and we definitely talk about about relationships, right? But let's talk about how do we move on, right, in a romantic relationship, right? And in your opinion, expert opinion, or however you want to see it, what's the healthiest way to handle a breakup?
It goes back to, I think I mentioned earlier on about the ending of a relationship, right? Because like the right or wrong thing, right? And it's just like any other grievances, you would have to go through the 5 stages of grief, where there will be like anger, sadness, bargaining, and eventually you start seeing like acceptance and hope, so there is no proper way, to be honest. The way is you would have to go through the stages, right? So the stages is also not linear, right? Even like 2 years later, you'll be like reminded by what just happened. It's like, oh my god, I'm so angry. You're still like, why why you so salty? 2 years later, still thinking about it.
Agree.
But the actual truth is that like, oh, well, I didn't get to process it. So what you want to do more of is actually process what had happened, and also process the feeling of hurt, the feeling of anger, the feeling of sadness.
Yeah.
And eventually it gets better all the time. Yeah.
So, when you talk about processing, it means that we have to feel our emotions, right? Basically.
Yeah.
How
You have to sit.
Yeah, sit with our
Yeah,
emotions,
sit
right?
with the emotions.
So, how do we properly sit with it? Is that
Yep. Okay. There again, proper, right?
proper?
There is no proper way to sit with emotions, right? Today, maybe you find more, let's say for example, like more motivation to be more affirming towards yourself, right? So today you succeed in sitting with your emotions, acknowledging it, embracing it, and cry about it, right? Tomorrow you wake up, it's like you feel defeated because it's like, again this pain. Like, can I just take this pain away? I can't wait for this pain to go away.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with you not being able to sit on your emotion. It's just you being impatient because you just want to get rid of this pain as fast, as quicker as you want, you know, as you could. But the truth is that like sitting with emotion means you've got to cry it out, right? You've got to feel those pain as much as you can. You've got to like put it into, channel it into like more positive things. Let's say for example like journaling. You know, you can have your revenge body if you want. Like you want to do something with your hair. You know, you just do something that you could channel that, or you just want to like speak about it, talk to your friends about it. So again, there is no proper way to actually sit with it.
Onto a little bit of like hunted questions, right? Okay,
Go ahead.
what is your most embarrassing dating story that you want to share? Or if you want to share, I can cut this out.
Embarrassed dating story.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all the way back in like high school.
Oh my god, high school!
It's a high school thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Just thinking about it, it's embarrassing.
Oh my god, okay, yes.
It's embarrassing because this is gonna be so funny. Because I didn't know how to act at that time, right? Because like it's like we went to like a cafe, right? More of like a kopitiam.
Okay.
I mean, high school, what can you afford?
Yeah, agree.
Kopitiam it is, right? So I think we had like a like nasi lemak with like laksa, Sarawak laksa.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, like in Sarawak laksa, sometimes you have this like chili paste.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was such an embarrassing moment. You just met the person for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's a kopitiam. And we were really hungry because it was after school, right?
Yeah.
And she, gosh, and she was eating the Sarawak laksa happily, trying to like fill up the tummy. And something stuck on her teeth.
Oh
Okay.
my god!
And I was like, okay, what do I do? Do I say something or do I not say something?
Oh no! Okay.
Yeah.
And then
I find it embarrassing because
Yeah.
it's like I didn't know how to act because my focus, my attention was just like, did you have something on your? You have something on your?
Did you actually say that?
No, I didn't. I just
Oh
let
my
it
god.
be throughout the whole process, And of course, that after maybe by the end of the date, and she's like, oh, can I have a kiss? I'm like,
Oh my god! Oh.
nope.
You said no?
Yeah, I said no because like
What was your reason?
there is. I'm just. I'm just not feeling it.
Oh.
Like I don't think I'm ready for it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but that's pretty. If we're gonna watch it, we're gonna say like peace out.
Well,
You know who you are.
oh my gosh. I mean, at least that person took it like very chill kind of way, right? They didn't take it too hard or anything. Did they?
I don't know. I can't.
Okay.
I'm not gonna spill any more tea.
Oh, okay, alright. Thank you so much. And lastly, if you could give your younger self one piece of relationship advice, what would it be?
I've had multiple relationships growing up. And I think all of my relationship significantly changed me as a person,
Yeah.
right? Changed me as a partner, and it has made me a better partner to my partner now, right? And I just want to say thank you to all my exes, to be honest, right? Instead of like, thank you next, I'm just gonna say, thank you for, just like allowing me to feel all those, those moments, like be it good moments or like bad moments, you know, because I think without all of those things that we had to go through in the past, I don't think I would be able to get to where I am now, where I get to desensitize a lot from like, traumatic like past love relationship, At that time, I was not able to understand a lot of things because like, you were just growing up, right? And like going from like high school to like uni lives to like being in your 20s and then like your late 20s and finally get to where I think and I hope that I'm in a healthy relationship, which I think I am, right?
Yeah.
So I would tell my younger self like, I'm gonna say like, you did a very good job holding space for yourself, even though you don't know how to hold space for yourself in that time. And at the same time, I'm gonna say this. It's gonna sound really funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say like, maybe you could have just hold your horses sometimes. just chill, dude. Like just relax. Because I'm a very anxious person, so I have anxious attachment style plus avoidance sometimes. Okay, so it's like I think I'm always just like talking to my partner non-stop. So exes like peace out.
Alright.
I wish you happiness and love and prosperity.
Is that your true?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. Okay. Thank you so much for joining our podcast. Before we end, I would always like to end it with a very positive note. So, are there any words of affirmations you would like to give to our audience before we end this episode?
Okay. I mean, since this episode is about love and relationship, I'm just gonna say like, get to know your significant other wholeheartedly, with an open mind and open heart.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't work doesn't mean like that's the end for you. And just because I've had that experience myself where I thought that was the end of the world, but it's not. Okay, it is not. It's just bringing you a step closer to the person that you're meant to be with, or that you're supposed to be with. So I'm just gonna say like, self-love is very important.
Yeah.
So one way to desensitize from a lot of traumatic incidents in your life is to learn how to love yourself. As cliche as it may sound, if you don't know how to love yourself, you don't know how to be compassionate, how to be graceful with yourself, then you can't really do that with other people, because people don't even know how to do that.
Yeah.
So if you can't do it for yourself, then it's gonna be like really difficult. So love yourself first.
Alright, thank you so
Thank you,
much for
guys.
watching this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!